Hey guys, I've actually got some very exciting news for you today. So there's been a new report that has detailed a lot of upcoming Apple products that are going to be seeing as early as next month. So this actually is very good news because I thought Apple wouldn't be hosting a March event. I thought they would personally roll the March event into their WWDC event since they announced it 2 months early, but this new report from Takara is saying otherwise. So in this video, let's talk about all of these exciting new products in the pipeline and mostly about clarifying things. Because if you guys actually read this report, it's very mumbo jumbo. Everything's mixed together. It's hard to make ends of things. So I wanted to put things together in a precise little detailed report for you about the new iPad Pro models, even an iPhone 7 in a new color, and iPhone SE updates. So let's go ahead and jump into it. This report was provided by Takara. Takara is a very reliable source, I'd say second to Ming-Chi Kuo, who we also will be talking about in this video. They correctly predicted that there wouldn't be a headphone jack on the iPhone 7 Plus, there would be a jet black color, and I'll mention this in my other video. Basically, the earpiece would be larger on the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus models. So they're quite reliable, they have a good track record. So the first thing this report details is the iPad mini series, or the 7.9-inch iPads. It's been a while since Apple has refreshed them. We're stuck on the iPad mini 4. It's the slimmer version of the iPad mini 3, of course, lightning connector. It's got the better camera, but other than that, there just hasn't been much progression here. We've seen iPad Pros, but now Apple is set to bring the Pro name to the mini series. So it's going to be not the iPad mini 5, but the iPad Pro 7.9-inch. Now, Takara is detailing that this thing will have 4 speakers, just like the iPad Pro, both of them actually. It'll have the True Tone display and a 12 megapixel camera on the back with the True Tone flash. And the most surprising bit about it is that it will receive the smart connector. Just like on the iPad Pro, the 3 little dots on the side, this smaller iPad will receive it, for the little cases, the keyboard cases, those kind of accessories. It's a very surprising thing to hear from a smaller budget iPad. I hope they don't raise the price because of all these new features, but that's generally the gist of it. There's no word on whether or not this thing will be getting slimmer or anything, more battery life, but it will rock the A9X processor. So we've got the iPad Pro Mini, or the iPad Pro 7.9. Next comes the standard 9.7-inch. So this currently is the iPad Pro 9.7. It's unknown what Apple will call it. I'm actually curious. Will it be the iPad Pro 2 9.7, iPad Pro 9.7 version 2? I don't know. Things are starting to get really cluttered with the iPad lineup, so I'm hoping they're gonna clarify things. As for the changes on this 9.7-inch model, there aren't much. It's set to keep the same display size. Overall form factor will be the same. The only changes is that it might be a little bit faster. However, it's going to keep the A9X chip. Rumored in this report is that the processor will not be going up to the A10X. That's reserved for the higher end models. So I don't really know what they're going to do with this. There's no word on how they can update this. Maybe the clock speed will be faster, because if you guys don't know, the 9.7-inch is technically slower a little bit than the larger 12.9-inch. So maybe it'll be a little bit faster, but design changes, overall changes will be the same. Maybe even the new color, space black. I don't know, I think that'd be kind of interesting. But a black color, maybe a jet black, would be kind of cool for this thing. And by the way, these concepts provided to you are actually from Apple iDesigner, so I just wanted to say thank you to him. I'll leave his Instagram down below in the description. He's been providing me with some good concepts in the past, and these iPad Pro ones are no exception. So with this, we're moving on to the larger iPad Pro 10.5-inch. There's been a lot of rumors about this model in particular because it's going to be the flagship before the highest end model, the largest one, the iPad Pro 12.9. So originally rumored to start at 10.9 inches, it's going to be 10.5. And the best way to describe this one would be the most technologically advanced iPad. So it will actually keep the same form factor as the 9.7-inch. It'll be exactly the same size, but the display will grow, so the bezels will shrink. It'll be an edge-to-edge display. So we're going to be seeing a larger display, 10.5 inches, in the same form factor. Honestly, I just don't understand why they would keep the 9.7 and then have this model. It makes no sense, but it's more of a affordability and budget thing, so Apple's going to want to keep one lower priced iPad there as well. But if you want to, you can opt for the 10.5 and have a bigger display. Now, getting into the more technical details, this thing will actually have 4 mic inputs. Actually, all of the iPads will. So another mic is going to mean better video recording, maybe calling, whatever application you use it with. It'll have 4 speakers, of course, and it will have have an improved camera. So it might actually receive the iPhone 7 12 megapixel camera, the updates. It might even have a bump like in this concept. I think that'd be kind of interesting, better looking than how it sits right now, that's for sure. And the last feature detailed in this report is that it would have no home button. That I do not understand. Is Apple going to implement their new through the touchscreen technology into this new iPad before the iPhone 8? I really don't know. It's unlikely, but it says they're just going to kill the home button. I don't know if that means completely eliminating it or turning it into the capacitive one that we're seeing on the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. I think that's going to be something interesting, but on an iPad, I mean, the multitasking gestures to close apps, that works well enough for me. Maybe they want to replace that with that. I don't know. But it basically says no home button. That'd be kind of interesting for an iPad. And this iPad Pro 10.5 inch is going to have the A10X processor, which is going to be much faster, much more multitasking based off of the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. So a lot more transistors on that. Currently, Apple is leading the race in transistors on such a small amount, a small chip. I mean, it's just killing it right now. It's pretty much the fastest processor you can find in a phone, in a tablet, with this kind of battery life. So I think that's quite amazing. And with the A10X, we're going to see that further because the A9X is an absolute beast. I cannot wait to see what kind of power we get from these. But with this increase in power, it certainly makes more sense for Apple to make its own OS, like a iPad OS. I mean, it's currently running just a bigger version of iOS. It doesn't have much of an advantage over the iPhone, aside from screen space. So I just wish Apple would release its own iPad OS. That'd be great. And then the iPad Pro 12.9 inch is receiving an update. This mammoth is finally going to be a little bit more current because right now there's a lot of fragmentation in the iPad lineup. The iPad Pro 9.7 has some features that the 12.9 doesn't, and vice versa. This one has a faster Lightning port, 3.0 speed. This one is actually a little bit faster than that one, but that one has True Tone display coloring. It has the 12 megapixel camera and flash. And it's just not fair. So Apple's going to even the lineup, and they're going to bring the A10X processor, obviously, to this guy. They're going to bring the 12 megapixel camera from the current iPad Pro 9.7, the flash unit, and the True Tone display on this thing, where it uses ambient sensor to see your environment. It's going to have 4 of them, and adjust the color temperature of the display accordingly. So basically going to make it a little bit more even between the lineup. Nothing really else about this one. It's going to have the same screen size. One thing I actually forgot to mention, the 10.5 inch iPad Pro is going to have a higher screen resolution. So the density of the pixels is going to be greater, matching that of the density of the iPad mini series, but while still growing in size. So it seems a little hectic. Apple's going to be releasing 4 new iPads, an iPad Pro 7.9, iPad Pro 9.7, iPad Pro 10.5, and iPad Pro 12.9. Now, in case you guys don't believe me, you're doubting me, this isn't just confirmed by Makatakar, it's also reiterated by Ming-Chi Kuo, Barclays analysts, and even Digitime. So a lot of big leakers, big research firms are confirming that these 3 iPads are happening. But none of them actually, besides Makatakar in this report today, said anything about the smaller iPad mini 7.9 inch. I mean iPad Pro 7.9. They did mention all 3 other iPads though, so they have a good chance of that happening. So that's the iPad stuff. Let's get into some of the smaller things. For me personally, the one I'm most excited about hearing is the red iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. It's a Product Red series, and it's basically a fundraiser iPhone. Some of the proceeds go to research for AIDS, and basically we're going to be seeing a new color for the iPhone. Now this was earlier rumored to be a jet white, maybe a ceramic white to match the Apple Watch, but now Makatakar is saying that at this event, March event, Apple will release a color red iPhone. I think that's going to be amazing, and here are a couple versions of that, what it could look like. So this one is from Color, where it shows a gloss red. I think it looks fantastic. You can currently buy a skin of this. Man, I would totally rock that. But if it has the scratch resistance of the jet black, that would really suck. I hope they do make the manufacturing process better to resist against scratches. Also, here is a matte version. This is from Apple iDesigner. Also, very, very good look. I think it'd be good to choose between them, but if I had to choose, the polished red look I think certainly looks better. The report also details something smaller. The iPhone SE could see a storage bump to 128 gigabytes. So currently it's more of a budget, lower end phone that's only available in 32 and 64 gigabytes. So they probably will up the storage on that one, kind of giving consumers more for their money at this event. And the very last thing is new Apple Watch bands. Kind of a mid-cycle sales boost. They're going to add some new bands in there. Everyone always complains about these, but hey, whatever. Probably going to stick stick with the stock one, the black rubbery one. It's great for the gym and stuff like that. But new Apple Watch bands. There's no word on iMacs, Mac Minis, or Mac Pros. Pretty much what I want from this event. The Mac Pro, they haven't touched that thing in almost 3 years now, so that's a bit sad. I'm hoping they're going to announce those, that it's going to be a secret release. But a March event is likely, and we might be seeing new iPad Pros, a complete down-the-line refresh, a new product red iPhone 7 and 7 Plus color to give it a boost in sales as well, Apple Watch bands, and a higher capacity iPhone SE. So guys, there it is, just a little update on that. A pretty awesome report there. I'm very excited for these products. Of course, I'll be reviewing them on this channel once they are out, but thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more news, and I've got a lot of exciting videos coming up this week. Peace.